Welcome back to Studio Chatter. A family history of breast cancer is certainly a warning, but now technology is giving us more information to work with. Let's welcome Carly Rost, a genetic counselor, to the table.
Hello, Carly. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself and the fact that you're a genetic counselor. What does that mean?
Sure. So, like you said, I'm Carly. I have lived here in Utah for about, I came here for my genetic counseling training because Utah's a big genetics hub, if you can imagine.
Wow, okay.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't know this.
Yeah, and as a genetic counselor, we as a profession help individuals understand their risk for some genetic and familial conditions and try to empower them to use that information to help be proactive in managing their health.
So are you the tester? Are you like the analysis part of the counseling?
That's an awesome question.
Okay.
So we use genetic testing as a tool to help estimate risk, but it's more than just that. So we order genetic testing based on the family histories that we collect, but we also support someone through making that decision and the questions that they have, as well as navigating next steps based on the outcomes.
So do you work with a doctor, or are you guys like on your own? Like, do we contact you individually, right? How does that work?
Yeah, so we work pretty independently and have just one-on-one visits typically with our patients, not under a doctor.
Okay, so an individual atmosphere.
Yeah.
So what is the process? So if I wanted to learn more about myself, so I've done some genetic screening with a saliva test. So is it saliva? Is it blood? Is it what? Yeah, what is it?
We use various samples to submit for genetic testing. The most common are saliva or blood, but the accuracy is essentially the same between them. It's just more DNA you're getting in a blood sample, but both isolate DNA from a blood sample. So what was the rest of your question?
So what the process is like to get results back. Okay, so specifically with a mammogram or having a family history of breast cancer, what can Natasha do to test more or look more into my genetics to make sure that doesn't happen, aside from just doing my annual mammograms? So here's my saliva. What could I possibly have, what could go on with me?
Yeah, so I think there was a little tidbit in the earlier discussion about how when some women are going for mammograms, they're getting a questionnaire that helps identify if they're a candidate to consider genetic testing. Others might bring it up with their doctor or might just seek out genetic counseling on their own because they're curious about their personal or family history.
Okay.
But it usually starts with an initial visit with a genetic counselor where you're taking a family history and talking about considerations for testing and what the possibilities could be. And then we order the genetic test, and there's a few week waiting period until you get results, and we review the test result and then call you with your test result and explain what it means, what you need to be worried about, but hopefully we're using this information to prevent these concerns from happening.
Is Heredigiene just for breast cancer, or does it screen for a myriad of different things?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, so in addition to our typical clinical evaluation process, a really new and exciting opportunity at Intermountain is participation in the Heredigiene population study. So what was your question?
Well, just is it just screening for breast cancer? Or will it give you results like you're going
a whole health history, or pancreatic cancer, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like all different types of...
So a genetic predisposition for cancer can often mean that you're at an increased risk for various different types of cancers. It depends on where that gene plays its role in the body, and we found a gene that's not really working properly, so those are the areas then we're more concerned with. But with Heredigiene, it's even bigger than cancer.
I was going to ask that. Alzheimer's, is it all-encompassing, like different health situations?
Yeah, the Heredigiene study is a research study that's looking at genetics and human health. So it's really broad, and it's trying to find new connections between genetics and human disease. There is, a lot of this. There's a specific list of conditions that we're obligated to report back to participants. So you may hear from the genetic counseling team if you were a participant in the study, and there's some specific cases I could share where there was a breast cancer gene identified, because that's what we're here thinking about, but we're also returning results that are focused on risk for other cancers, as well as genetic conditions with cardiovascular disease and several other genetic conditions. So you may go in with a worry
about breast cancer, but may get some other results that may help identify some other issues.
Right.
So it's
and
an
in fact, I think,
screening.
Some of the outcomes from the study are a bit surprising, and situations where we're catching families that weren't really on the radar.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
So do you join Heredigiene? Like?
Yes. Right, because you're saying a study, so I'm feeling like this is not like...
Yes.
How do we get involved?
You opt in to participating in the study, and I invite you to join. You can at any Intermountain clinic. You can here at the Spanish Fork Hospital. But you could ask any Intermountain caregiver about it, even at an upcoming appointment.
And
it's
is it a cost?
Yes. Yes, it's free of cost.
Okay.
Free is always good. Does it come with chocolate?
Could you give us chocolate?
Maybe that's something that some of the enrollment stands are.
We missed it in our last segment, that in October, if you go in for a mammogram at Spanish Fork Hospital, you get chocolate, and that's crucial for our viewers to know about.
I'm saying
we tried to be early.
No, I'm saying a Diet Coke.
And chocolate. We know how to get women in. If you need some ideas,
And a
call us.
pedicure after.
Well, I'm interested to learn. So you said that this study in particular was a Utah hub. So what's the? I mean, I still want to know more.
Why?
Like, what's
Just
the draw
because they're
here?
so family oriented, or why?
That's a great question. So Utah was actually, a lot of the researchers up at the University of Utah
that makes sense.
were part of the completion of the Human Genome Project, and I think like you mentioned, a lot of the unique, I think, large families and
family ties.
yeah,
also,
families.
maybe?
Exactly. It was
I
a
didn't
great
even
place
think
to
about
kind of
University of Utah, though. That's a
have-
big, huge thing too.
So I know probably couples that are, wanting to have a baby or something, or maybe want to know their genetic background or something. Like, would it tell you things like that? I mean, because I know there's...
Are you talking about Heredigiene specifically? It could. So one of the things that I think is really important to note, and this was a question later, sorry, is that the turnaround time, or the timing in which someone might hear about study results, could be quite a while. So for some of the participants I've worked with, it's been 2 years, but for others it could be even longer. And that's part of the nature of genetics research, and
that
the
makes
fact
sense.
that there's
So it's not like we're getting married and trying to decide.
No, but it's even like when people want to, participate in a study, and they may have the placebo or the actual, and then it's years down the line when you actually find out.
Right.
If
So I
it's
think
work or
if
not.
someone is concerned about
Yep.
something specific in their personal or family history, they should seek out a genetic
that's why they would
evaluation
wanna join.
clinically.
But if you're not concerned or have anxiety about it, people might be so scared they're just not even going to even consider it, right?
Are you talking about participation in the study?
Yeah. I can see some people thinking I don't
don't
want to
know.
There's no way I would do this.
Sure, and that might be the case. Those people don't need to participate in the study.
But specific to mammograms, if there is a family history, why wouldn't you want to know, maybe, if you could help prevent something down the road?
Right. Well, I was just thinking.
And I think a lot of people are of that mindset where if there's action you can take, which we can here in these cancer predisposition conditions, there's something that you can do to pursue reducing your risk or increased screening, starting screening at a younger age. So I think for a lot of people, the benefits of knowing the information outweigh the
that's
downsides,
fascinating.
even though it is scary
So
to
what
learn
can people
about this.
do to learn more?
Yes.
So to learn more, you can visit either heredigiene.org or precisiongenomics.org. Precisiongenomics.org is the Intermountain link that you can actually find the clinical genetic evaluation services too.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I love all
Just
of
a
that. Yes, we'll
whole
share that
nother
somewhere
level
else.
of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
You're welcome.
Coming up next on Studio Chatter, we'll talk about how knowing your genetic makeup can guide you in your health decisions.